Hi, and welcome to Sean Can Cook, but John Can. Don't worry, Sean's still here. He's behind the camera. Today we're going to make a tomato sauce from scratch. Doesn't that sound delicious? Here are the ingredients that we're going to use. I like to make a large stock pot. So what I use are 2 each 28-ounce cans of tomato puree, whole tomatoes, tomato sauce, crushed tomatoes, and 1 can of diced tomatoes. I also use a 12-ounce can of tomato paste. In the grocery store, you'll find these little tiny cans. If you can't find the 12-ounce can, use 2 of those. The spice blend that I use to start, and when I say start, what I mean is as it cooks, you will find you can add a little more spice as it goes. To start, I use 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1½ teaspoons of dried parsley, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, and I like fresh basil, so I use about 10 or 12 leaves of fresh basil chopped. If you don't have that, start with a teaspoon of dried basil. I also like to use garlic. This is to taste. Sean and I like garlic, so I have about 5 cloves of garlic already run through the press. So I'm going to show you how to use that in case you never have. Just simply put it in, squeeze it, and it minces it for you. Scrape off the bottom, and you're ready to go. Let's make some sauce. Okay, let's start putting the sauce together. I've got 2 tablespoons and a teaspoon of oil heating in the stock pot. As you can see, it will start to shimmer a little bit. That's when you can add the garlic. You can even throw in a little bit to test to see if it starts sizzling. That's good. We're going to turn the heat up to low, and we're going to put all of this garlic in. Now you've got to watch so this doesn't burn. It's going to burn very quickly. So you want to saute it just for about a minute. You want to get some of that raw garlic taste out. If you start to see it turning brown, take it off the heat immediately. Do not let it burn. We're just going to let it saute for a little bit. And then after that, we're going to start adding all of the cans of tomatoes slowly. Make sure you don't burn yourself. The oil will splash a little bit, so be careful when you're doing that. You can also start to smell the garlic. When you really start smelling and it's getting fragrant, that's when you want to start adding everything. This is starting to look good. I'm just going to let it go for a few more seconds. Again, it's going to cook in the sauce. I like to cook sauce for anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. And yes, I said hours. I think it gives it a nice, mellow flavor. That looks good. Let's start adding in the tomatoes. Again, you can start on the side, put it in. That will stop the garlic from cooking. It's already cooking. So there you have it. Just add the rest of the cans and we'll come back to show you the rest. The tomatoes are now simmering. I've added the spice mixture, and I like to take my grandmother's potato masher to mash up some of the whole tomatoes. I simply plunge it in, breaking up some of the tomatoes. It helps it to cook a little faster, breaks up some of the larger chunks. I like to cook the sauce for about 2 to 4 hours at a very low simmer. Sometimes I'll put the lid on halfway, not fully, just to keep it from splattering. After you stir a few times in 2 hours, taste it. You can then see if you would like to add more spices, such as a little more basil, a little more oregano. I've also added 1 teaspoon of sugar to cut down on the acidity. You can add a little bit more or less to your taste. And that's it. Here's a bonus tip. If your stock pot is smaller, omit some of the cans of tomatoes to make sure there is a 1 to 2 inch gap at the top to avoid spillage.